So the autumn budget is coming around the corner next week, and I think if you were hoping to enjoy Christmas this year, think again, because we're going to have Rachel Reeves. That was Monty, by the way. We're going to have Rachel Reeves knocking on the door, dressed as the Grinch with a calculator in her hand, come to basically kick us in the wallet. Welcome to Adam Tries Everything, the channel where I basically use YouTube to improve pretty much every aspect of my life. And one of the big things I want to do with this channel is try and figure out how I can be a little bit more financially savvy. Whether that's making my commute a little bit less expensive, or it could be figuring out the best way to invest my money. The issue I'm having, though, is that whatever advice I follow today, by next week, everything can have changed. So I thought what we'd do is look at some of the most likely scenarios that could happen. Spoiler alert, none of them are good. Last year, 2024, we had the budget, and it was a bit of a kick in the teeth, but we were told it was going to be once in a generation. Right? These were the tough times, it's going to be better next year. Don't worry, I'm not coming back for your money next year. Fast forward a year, looks like all of that was nonsense. And to be honest, I wouldn't be so angry if it weren't for the kind of ineptitude that the last 365 days has seen, which has basically forced their hand into coming back for more. Chancellor's looking at a 30 to 40 billion pound black hole, and let's not forget that this is their terminology here. You know, basically what that means is they are 30 to 40 billion pounds shy of where they wanted to be, right? They wanted this much in savings and they've not hit their target. Alongside that, it's costing them more and more to borrow money, probably because, you know, the people who are lending it to them can see how inept they are. It's kind of like if you buy a house, right? And you go to the mortgage lender, and if your credit score is really low and they can see that you're not really that trustworthy with your money, they're going to whack up the interest rates. What did last year's budget do for us? The increase in national insurance meant that companies weren't hiring. And what does that mean? It means the tax base is shrinking. If there are less people working, that's less people paying money, you know, through income tax, through national insurance, into the government coffers. So it's not been particularly successful last year. And if they're coming back for more this year, what makes us think it's going to be any better? What makes us think this time it's going to get us out of this black hole? The other thing is this kind of constant flip-flopping on ideas as to how they're going to fix this. I think there are 100 tax kind of tweaks that they're looking at. You know, it's a bit of a mess. One of the things they're almost certainly going to do is freeze the income tax thresholds. And while that might not sound particularly dramatic, it's a really sneaky way of them basically taxing us. Because what it means is that your job, obviously the amount you get paid to do that job, increases with inflation because everything else is costing more. You know, the salary for your job increases, but the tax brackets remain the same. So even though the job that was paying 30k 20 years ago now pays 50k, but you get the same amount of money realistically after you've factored in the more that you have to spend on everything, you are now in a higher tax band, so you're getting paid more. It's as if they are taxing you more than they were previously. The other thing, which I think is absolutely crazy, is capping the pension sacrifice, because I think currently it's like £60,000, right, that you can sacrifice of your salary. What that means is you are making a smart choice to save for your future at the expense of your kind of quality of life today, right? You're just making a decent fiscal decision, which is something the government should do more of. But they're going to punish you for doing that. It means that you're not going to have as much in your pension pot when you get older, and who's going to foot the bill? The state, i.e. us, the people paying taxes. It just seems absolutely ridiculous. The reason they're doing it is because, let's say I earn, you know, £1,000 over the threshold of tax. Well, it makes more sense for me to stick that money into my pension instead every month, bring myself down a tax band, and I'm not getting screwed on the taxes. And what are they going to do amid all of this? So charging us more on taxes, etc. They're going to completely scrap the 2-child benefit cap. Now, I completely agree with supporting families. But if you've made a financial decision, let's say, right, you're working and you've got 2 kids and you can't afford to have another one. You've made, again, a kind of financial decision. You've had to make the hard choice. Can't afford to have another kid. And you barely get to see your kids as it is because you're working super hard. You come home, they're already in bed. You've made that financial decision. You are now going to have to start paying for other people through that benefit cap, and paying more because they're putting the taxes up. It just doesn't seem fair. It doesn't seem, it doesn't seem consistent. But why are they doing it? It's political, right? It's to keep the left of the Labour Party happy. Anyway, this is turning into a bit of a rant. But the thing I'm trying to get at is that it's just a mess. So how am I supposed to be using YouTube to help me get better at my finances when the government keep bloody moving the goalposts? Ridiculous. What does this mean in short? In short, it means that come next week, we're all going to be a little bit less well off. And it means it's going to be a tight bloody Christmas, probably, for the majority of us. It also means that I'll probably have to do a video next week after the rest of YouTube kind of figures out what Rachel Reeves's policy actually means for you and me. And they start giving us some decent advice as to where to put our money and how to get around the bloody shambles that the government has created. So watch out for that. This hasn't really been a video about me figuring out how to improve my life. It's been a bit of a rant. But if you have found any of it useful, do like and subscribe. Come back after the budget. Let's figure out the best thing to do when all of the dust settles, and we can figure out where we go from there. Until then, maybe there's some dog content, which will probably be a little bit more lighthearted. So join me then.